Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Manchester United are in advanced talks to sign Pau Torres from Villarreal. Manchester United are aiming to complete the signing of Pau Torres before the European Championship begins. Villarreal want us to meet Pau Torres' 43.4 million release clause. His release clause will rise up to over 56 million in the final 15 days of the summer transfer window. It said earlier on this season that Pau Torres wanted to come to Manchester United. The Real Madrid president, Florentino Perez, was infuriated with Manchester United for entering the race because at one point Real Madrid were emerged as the favourites to get Torres. Pau Torres has been at Villarreal for a long time. He's under contract with them until 2024. He also had a loan spell with Malaga. He's still young and he's got a lot of development in him. Do you think he'd go well alongside Harry Maguire in our back line? Now I want to delve into some news on Jules Kounde from Sevilla. So Real Madrid have entered the race for Jules Kounde. Manchester United and Chelsea are also interested. Now Sevilla will accept around 52 million for Jules Kounde. He has around a 78 million release clause and he's under contract with Sevilla until 2024. Now earlier on this season, it actually said that Sevilla were demanding £68 million. Fabrizio Romano, who's a very reliable Italian journalist and close to Man United, he did say that Sevilla's 68 million asking price was complicating a deal, but he did mention that Jules Kounde is one of the most appreciated players on Man United's radar. He said earlier on this season, though, that Sevilla had actually lowered their asking price for Jules Kounde to £50 million. He said earlier on this season that we was prepared to pay around 61 million for him, and it actually said at one point we were considered the favourites to sign him. His performances this season for Sevilla have been outstanding. He's been at Sevilla almost 2 years. Sevilla paid just £22 million for him from Bordeaux in the summer of 2019. Been quite a few centre-halves on our agenda, but we might not sign a centre-half now anyway because Eric Bailly recently signed a new contract with Man United until 2024. There's an option of a further year. Said a few weeks ago that Ollie had drawn up a 6-man centre-back shortlist. Now, Mino Raiola has spoke about a Paul Pogba and Eden Hazard swap deal. Mino Raiola has said a move to Real Madrid for Paul Pogba is still a possibility. So he's basically saying it's not impossible. Real Madrid have been relentlessly linked with Paul Pogba. Obviously, there's been a lot of narratives of Paul Pogba going back to Juventus. He did endure 4 good years with them before he rejoined Manchester United. And swap deals have been high on the agenda because Italian reports said earlier on this season that there could be a swap deal involving Cristiano Ronaldo and Paul Pogba. Then it said that Juventus were willing to offer us Paulo Dybala in exchange for Pogba. Italian reports said earlier on this season that Juventus tried to offer us up to 4 players in exchange for Pogba. PSG have also been in for Paul Pogba, and Barcelona have expressed their interest. So he's had a long-running transfer saga. Now, Paul Pogba will sign a new contract at Manchester United if we offer him a new contract. I think there's a very good chance now that Paul Pogba will stay. Solskjaer did say earlier on this season that Paul Pogba's future lies at Man United, and he said he hopes he stays and signs a new contract. And he did mention that our players would be devastated if we decided to sell Paul Pogba. Pogba's current contract expires next year, because earlier on this season we triggered that 1-year extension on his contract. He said the other week that Paul Pogba was demanding £500,000 a week to sign a new contract. I said I was very sceptical that would be able to meet them demands, but if we met them demands, it'd take Paul Pogba's overall earnings close to £800,000 a week, because he's on like 290 grand a week at the moment on his current contract. We've been getting the best out of Pogba in recent months. You know, he does bring creativity to the team. Disregarding Pogba, we lack that creativity and we are far too defensive. Recently, we've been playing him in an advanced role. We need to keep him in that advanced role because he's very effective there. But quite a lot of times before, we've played him in that deeper role. Earlier on this season, Pogba had a thigh injury. He was out for a while with that thigh injury, and I said he was a big miss. He had an ankle injury at the first part of this season, and he was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. Now, obviously, we know that Mino Raiola has been desperate to get his client out of the football club. He was doing a lot of talking earlier on this season. You know, he criticised Sir Alex Ferguson for forcing Paul Pogba out of the club when he was younger. I presume all United fans disagreed with him criticising Ferguson. He did say, though, earlier on this season that he's got no intentions of destabilising his client's season at Man United. He made an admission saying that he's working quietly on Paul Pogba's transfer to avoid offence, because Mino Raiola doesn't have a good relationship with Man United, and he doesn't have a good relationship with Solskjaer and that, and he's been criticised a lot. He did make an announcement back in December regarding Paul Pogba, and obviously Solskjaer was furious with Mino Raiola's announcement because it was just before the game against RB Leipzig in the Champions League. As it stands at the moment, Pogba's our most expensive signing because we paid £89 million for him, and this is his 5th season at the football club since he rejoined. He's won 3 trophies so far. That's the Europa League, the League Cup and the Community Shield. Yes, we had him when he was a lot younger under Ferguson, but we had to let him go due to limited appearances. Now, the other week, Paul Pogba gave an exclusive interview to Sky and he criticised Jose Mourinho. He said that Jose Mourinho went against the players and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is different. So, reflecting on that, Paul Pogba is 100% Solskjaer in. Jose Mourinho hit back at Paul Pogba's comments. He said he doesn't care less what he had to say about his reign as Manchester United manager. But Paul Pogba recently insisted that he's happy at the club. Would you take Eden Hazard to Man United as part of a swap deal of Pogba going to Real Madrid? Well, Eden Hazard hasn't done that well at Real Madrid, has he? You know, he's had quite a few injuries and that, but Hazard's proven in the Premier League because he was a long-serving player at Chelsea. You know, he endured like 7 years with Chelsea before, you know, he went to Real Madrid. There's a lot of players that Manchester United are looking at now. There's been a lot of narratives coming out regarding Declan Rice recently. Darren Fletcher said that Declan Rice asked about Manchester United whilst he was on international duty with England. Now, it actually said earlier on this season that Solskjaer agreed with our recruitment team that Declan Rice would be the perfect signing for the club. There was reports coming out last month saying that Declan Rice is interested in joining Man United, and he asked Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw about life at Old Trafford. Says West Ham are demanding £100 million. I think 100 million's too much for Declan Rice, but I reckon he's worth in between 50 to 60 million, maybe 70 million at a push. Declan Rice has been at West Ham like 7 years now. He's got a contract with them until 2024. Before West Ham, he was at Chelsea. He was in their youth setup for several years, but he never got into Chelsea's first team. The main explanations I'd take Rice at Manchester United is because he's well proven in the Premier League. He's predominantly a holding midfielder, and Man United are in search for a holding midfielder. And he can be deployed as a centre-half. And he's still young and he's got a lot of development in him. He'd be a good replacement for Matic. Man United could still sign Jadon Sancho in the summer transfer window. We are confident we can get Jadon Sancho on the cheap in the summer. We've talked with Jadon Sancho's representatives over the potential move to Old Trafford. Borussia Dortmund are actually planning to sell Jadon Sancho, so that gives them a much greater chance of keeping Erling Haaland. Borussia Dortmund admitted earlier on this season that they'll sell Sancho for the right price this summer, and Dortmund's CEO revealed that the club will discuss exceptional offers for Sancho. Earlier on this season, it said that Borussia Dortmund had given us a new Jadon Sancho transfer price. It says Dortmund are open to selling Sancho for £86 million. So they lowered their asking price because initially they was demanding around £108 million. You know, last summer, Jadon Sancho was our number one priority target, don't forget. So there you go. In the summer transfer window, we're going to focus on the incomings and the outgoings. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is aware of how big this year's summer transfer window is going to be for himself and Manchester United in general. The summer transfer window will be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's 5th transfer window as permanent Man United manager. In the summer transfer window, I'm expecting us to make around 3 or 4 signings, maybe even 5 signings, and I've already identified the areas in the squad where we need to strengthen up. I'm expecting Man United to spend big in the summer transfer window, but Solskjaer did mention earlier on this season that he wants to keep transfer dealings quiet. He did warn that we may not do business as usual due to the pandemic. Solskjaer wants good backing in the summer transfer window. And I'm expecting him to get the backing he deserves because we've got John Murtough, he's our director of football. And we've got Darren Fletcher, he's our technical director. And we've got Matt Judge. You know, Matt Judge has been part of the club for a long time. I can assure Solskjaer will be Man United manager in the summer transfer window. And he'll be Man United manager next season because it's already been made clear that he will not be sacked even if we fail to win the Europa League. But we've got a very, very good chance now of winning the Europa League. You know, we are into the final. It's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first major final as Man United manager. You know, we recently beat Roma 6-2 in the Europa League semi-final first leg. Solskjaer knows how imperative it is to get his first trophy on the board as Man United manager. Obviously, we haven't won a trophy since 2017. And Solskjaer, don't forget, did say last month that winning trophies can be an ego thing. But I've already said that Solskjaer does deserve at least another season because I think progress has been made in a lot of aspects. But I'll stick to what I've said on my recent videos. I'm very sceptical that Solskjaer is the long-term manager for Man United, but I hope I'm proven wrong. More than that, I must think Solskjaer's a long-term manager because it said earlier on this season that Ole agreed a 3-year contract worth 30 million. Said it's likely to be 2 years with an option of an extra one. Ole has like 12 months left on his current 3-year contract, or just under 12 months. Solskjaer is our best manager since Ferguson, I can assure that. Obviously, a lot of Manchester United fans have criticised Solskjaer, and obviously they've been demanding him out. Obviously, they've got the reasons behind why they've been demanding him out, but I presume there's still a lot of United fans that are Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in, and they believe that he needs more time at the club. You know, this has been his second full season, so next season will be his third full season. He's been Manchester United manager now over 2 years. And like I've said to you, Solskjaer hasn't got a proven pedigree as a manager. But that doesn't mean he can't succeed as Man United manager. But reflecting now on his been with us, he's gained some managerial experience and he's learnt quite a bit on the job. Before he was with us, he was at Molde. He won a few Norwegian titles at Molde, but they're not a big club. And before he was at Molde, he was at Cardiff. And his record at Cardiff was absolutely disastrous. Don't forget, Solskjaer managed the Man United reserve team for a couple of years, so he did watch some of this team at this day and age grow and develop. Now, Man United are going to offload quite a few players in the summer transfer window. Now, David De Gea, we could offload him in the summer transfer window. A lot of United fans reckon that it would be a mistake to let David De Gea go. But I don't think it would be because I reckon now he's had his years at Man United and plus now Dean Henderson is our number one. David De Gea's endured 10 years at Man United. He's made over 500 appearances in all competitions and he's won everything domestically at the football club. De Gea's had around 8 good years out of the 10 years he's been with us because in the last couple of years he has been a liability, reflecting on the calamitous mistakes he's made. It said earlier on this season that De Gea had actually made his transfer decision. It said he's preparing to leave Man United and it said we're set to pay off his huge contract. He said we set the price for De Gea, it's £50 million and a few clubs have been interested in him. He's got like 2 years left on his current contract and he's on £375,000 a week. I did say there's a very good chance that De Gea will go back to Spain. Romero, I'm expecting us to offload him because he's like our 3rd or 4th choice goalkeeper now. Phil Jones, I want us to offload him because he's always been inconsistent. Plus, he doesn't get in our 11 and he's been out of injury now for over a year. Jones is the only outfield player that's still here from the Ferguson era. He's been a long servant, Jones. This has been his 10th season at Manchester United. We did get Phil Jones from Blackburn. Axel Tuanzebe, I'm expecting us to offload him as well. Because he doesn't get in our 11, does he? Diego Dalot, I'm expecting us to get rid of him permanently. He's out on loan with AC Milan at the moment. Matic, I'm expecting us to offload him in the summer transfer window because he isn't one of our first choice midfielders. But he still gets his opportunities, and I've always had my strong reservations about Matic because he's always been a slow player. And analysing the vast majority of his games at Man United, he's been inconsistent, but some games he showed consistency. I think we made a mistake giving Matic that new 3-year contract before the start of this season. We got him in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. He's been at the club almost 4 years now, is it? Alex Telles, I think there's a good chance that we'll offload him. Because it said he's actually decided to leave Man United, and Calcio Mercato said not so long ago that Juventus are interested in Alex Telles, and it said they're willing to offer Adrian Rabiot in exchange for Alex Telles. Alex Telles has played nowhere near as much as I expected. When we got him in last summer, I expected him to be our first choice left back immediately, but hasn't happened. We got Telles in a deal worth $15.4 million from Porto, but in some of the games he's been involved in, I think he's done well, to his credit. Donny van der Beek, I think we should offload him in the summer transfer window because he's not getting enough opportunities at Manchester United. Most of Donny van der Beek's appearances have come from the bench. He's only started 2 games in the league this season. Now, Ronald de Boer earlier on this season backed Donny van der Beek to become a success at Man United, and he said he still feels loved at the club despite his lack of game time. Now, earlier on this season, it said that Van der Beek wanted to quit Man United after 1 season due to his lack of game time, and it said that he wanted to hold showdown talks with Ed Woodward regarding his future. Solskjaer made an admission earlier on this season saying that Donny van der Beek was unhappy, but he promised him more game time. ESPN said back in January that we rejected several loan offers for Van der Beek because we was reluctant to let him go. He says we're actually considering a Donny van der Beek swap deal. Earlier on this season there was talks of a Donny van der Beek and Adrian Rabiot swap deal, but we got Van der Beek in a deal worth $40 million from Ajax last summer, and he's versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. At one point he was out with injury for us for a while. Juan Mata, I'm also expecting us to offload him because he doesn't get in our 11. And my element of concern about him, he's lost that yard of pace and he's now, 34, 35 years of age. He's done well though in the games he's played in. First part of this season, he rejected an $18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. Juan Mata's had a good career at Man United though. He's been at the club over 6 years now. Got him in a deal worth $40 million from Chelsea back in 2014. I think we need to offload Anthony Martial in the summer as well. You know, he's no longer good enough to represent the club, and Martial's been out of form for the vast majority of this season. Martial's out with an knee injury. Looks very, very likely he's going to be out for the remainder of the season. Anthony Martial. Solskjaer confirmed that not so long ago. He's been at the club now over 5 years. I reckon Martial's had 2 good seasons. He was good in his debut season under Van Gaal, and he was good last season. We got him in a deal worth $54 million from Monaco. And I think it was last season Solskjaer gave him that number 9 shirt. So there you go, and a lot of players will stay at Man United in the summer transfer window, and I reckon there's quite a few players that have got long-term futures at the club. Now, we've had some good news coming out regarding Edinson Cavani recently. Edinson Cavani is close to agreeing a 1-year contract extension with Manchester United. Cavani has decided that he wants to stay at Manchester United in the summer. It's expected to be official next week. I thought Edinson Cavani was going to leave the club, because Footballer Insider said earlier on this season that Cavani was willing to take a pay cut to join Boca Juniors. He said he had a verbal agreement with Boca Juniors, and Boca Juniors were willing to offer him a 3-year contract. And Marcus Rojo, who was a former Man United player, he had talks with Cavani earlier on this season regarding a move to Boca Juniors. And even Solskjaer said earlier on this season that Cavani was closer to Boca Juniors than staying at Man United. And Cavani's father even came out and said that Cavani was unhappy. He said he didn't feel comfortable in England and he wants to leave. But I'm very, very delighted, and I presume all United fans are delighted, that Cavani is going to be staying for next season, and I presume that Solskjaer will also be delighted. Solskjaer said not so long ago, though, that he's doing all he can to convince Edinson Cavani to stay at the club. Prior to that, he did say Edinson Cavani's future is not 100% decided. Prior to that, he said that Edinson Cavani will leave. But Cavani has made a fantastic impact since he's come in. He really, really has. You know, his hold-up play's been good in a lot of his games. He's created chances. His movement in and around the box has been good, and he's scored good goals. In some games, though, he hasn't got enough service and he's looked isolated. Sustained a few injuries as well at Man United. You know, we got him on a free transfer last summer. Cavani's got a good pedigree behind him as a player. He was a long-serving player at PSG, and you know, he won quite a lot of trophies at PSG. On my next video, I will be talking with you a bit more about the Man United and Liverpool game. Man United are expecting up to 10,000 protesters against the Glazers ahead of our game against Liverpool. Not so long ago, our fans protested against the Glazers outside Old Trafford. Our fans had burnt the American flag. The other week, our fans protested against the Glazers outside Carrington and the blocked entrances into the Carrington training ground. You know, there was banners, don't forget, saying 51%, MUFC 20 and Glazers out. The Glazers want £4 billion to sell the club. Solskjaer recently insisted that the Glazer family will not sell Man United, and prior to that, he told protesters that Joe Glazer loves the club. Not so long ago, the Glazers apologised over the European Super League plans, and the Red Knights have told the Glazers to sell Manchester United. But yeah, it would be the right decision to get rid of the Glazers, because I hate the way the football club is being run now for a long time. The Glazers have been at Man United for like 16 years now. You know, they've been with us since 2005. So we need to recommend new owners in. You obviously know the news regarding Ed Woodward. Ed Woodward's house got attacked by masked protesters. Was it last week? It got announced the other week that Ed Woodward resigns as Manchester United Vice Chairman, and he'll stand down at the end of the year. I presume all United fans were delighted with the news regarding Woodward, because we've been critical of him for a long time. Woodward will get to choose Man United's next chief executive. Apparently, Edwin van der Sar is the favourite to replace Ed Woodward. Woodward has had a 16-year association with the club. But yeah, Solskjaer, like I've said to you before, I do have my concerns about him, but there's also a lot of positives regarding Solskjaer as well. You know, we've enjoyed very good periods under him where we've seen consistency, and we're enjoying a very, very good period at the moment. You know, we're second in the Premier League. We're probably going to finish second. You know, we've got a very good away record in the Premier League. We haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. We are unbeaten in our last 24 Premier League away games. You know, Solskjaer's got us to the Europa League final, got us to the FA Cup quarter-final this season, also got us to the EFL Cup semi-final. Did well last season, his first full season, got us a third place finish, guided us to 3 semi-finals and got us qualification for the Champions League. You know, he's made good signings as Man United manager. You know, he's spent almost £300 million. You know, Solskjaer's got rid of a lot of the deadwood as well since he come in. You know, I like the way he has promoted the youth, and he's beaten quite a few big name managers. And his decision making in some games has been good. So, they are the positives regarding Ole. We appointed Solskjaer in December 2018 to replace Mourinho, and he's been permanent Man United manager since March 2019. Solskjaer knew when he'd taken over at Man United it was going to be a massive job, despite him knowing the club through thick and thin. We love Solskjaer as a club legend. He enjoyed 11 years as a player for Man United and he flourished under Sir Alex Ferguson's guidance. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you with today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.